Have you ever wondered what could push a nation to the brink of tearing itself apart? In the mid-19th century, the United States was exactly that, a country on the edge. On one side, the promise of freedom and equality. On the other, the brutal reality of slavery, economic division, and political strife. This wasn't just a disagreement. It was a battle for the very soul of America. The North was industrializing, and a powerful abolitionist movement was gaining steam, calling for an end to slavery. Meanwhile, the South's entire economy and social structure were built on the backs of enslaved people, fueling its agrarian wealth. As America expanded westward, the question of whether new territories would be free or slave states became a ticking time bomb. Compromises like the Missouri Compromise and the Kansas-Nebraska Act were just temporary fixes, flimsy bandages on a wound that was getting deeper and more infected by the day. Peaceful solutions were failing. The moral and political chasm was simply too wide to bridge. Then came 1860. Abraham Lincoln, a man who opposed the expansion of slavery, won the presidency. For the southern states, this was the final straw. They saw his election as a direct attack on their way of life. 11 states seceded, forming the Confederate States of America. The nation was fractured, and in April 1861, when Confederate forces fired on Fort Sumter, the first shots were fired. The American Civil War had begun, a conflict that would rage for 4 brutal years and forever change the course of the nation. Both the Union and the Confederacy quickly mobilized massive armies. The war was defined by savage, bloody battles that have become legendary: Gettysburg, Antietam, Shiloh, Vicksburg. The fate of tens of thousands rested on the shoulders of brilliant but relentless military leaders like Ulysses S. Grant and Robert E. Lee, or William Tecumseh Sherman and Stonewall Jackson. But beyond the generals, ordinary soldiers faced unimaginable horrors. Disease was rampant, medical care was primitive, and starvation was a constant threat. Back home, civilians felt the war's impact in different ways. Southern towns were often battlegrounds, devastated by fighting and Union blockades, while northern communities bore the economic strain and the constant aching grief of sending their sons, brothers, and fathers off to fight. This was also a new kind of war, one of the first truly modern conflicts. Innovations like rifled muskets, which were far more accurate, and ironclad warships revolutionized combat. Railroads and the telegraph transformed strategy and logistics, allowing for faster movement of troops and information. It was a terrifying demonstration of how industrial power could be weaponized. As the death toll mounted, reaching over 600,000 soldiers, making it the deadliest war in American history, the sheer human cost became undeniable. Leaders on both sides grappled with impossible decisions while the country bled. But this was more than just a military conflict. It was a profound moral struggle. In 1863, President Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. This was a monumental shift. It declared enslaved people in the rebelling Confederate States to be free. The war was no longer just about preserving the Union. It was now also a fight to end slavery. This didn't free everyone overnight, but it was a powerful statement. It allowed African American men to enlist in the Union Army and Navy, adding crucial manpower and an undeniable moral force to the cause. It marked a new, hopeful chapter in the long struggle for equality. The tide of the war began to turn decisively in 1863. Union victories at Gettysburg in Pennsylvania and Vicksburg on the Mississippi River gave the North a major strategic advantage. The following year, General Sherman's infamous March to the Sea cut a path of destruction through Georgia, crippling the Southern economy and shattering its morale. This was total war, designed to break the Confederacy's will to fight. As Confederate resistance crumbled, The Union Army pressed its advantage relentlessly. Finally, in April 1865, General Robert E. Lee surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse. The war was over. The United States was once again a single nation, but the road ahead was filled with uncertainty. The end of the war ushered in a period of immense change known as Reconstruction. The nation had to rebuild, not just physically and economically, but socially. How could millions of newly freed African Americans be integrated into a society that had denied them their basic humanity? There was progress. The 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments were passed, officially abolishing slavery, granting citizenship, and securing voting rights for black men. But this progress was met with fierce and violent resistance. Groups like the Ku Klux Klan emerged, and Southern states began imposing Jim Crow laws, systematically undermining the rights that had just been won. The war was over, but the fight for true freedom and equality was far from finished. The Civil War left a permanent mark on America. It redefined the relationship between the federal government and the states, establishing that no state could simply choose to leave the Union. It sparked debates about civil rights, federal power, and national identity that are still very much alive today. While the cost was immense, the war also cleared the way for America's industrial boom, westward expansion, and its eventual rise as a global power. It was a painful, transformative catalyst. The stories of the people who lived through it, the soldiers, nurses, leaders, and ordinary citizens, are powerful reminders of courage, resilience, and the devastating human cost of division. By studying their letters, diaries, and records, we gain insight into the fragility of democracy and the critical importance of moral leadership in times of crisis. To truly understand the Civil War, we must look beyond the battles and politics to the human experience. The formerly enslaved people navigating a new world, the families torn apart by loss, and the slow, difficult work of legal reform that laid the groundwork for future civil rights movements. The memory of the war is all around us, in monuments, books, and films, reminding us what's at stake when a nation confronts its own contradictions. The struggle for freedom and justice that defined that era remains deeply relevant, echoing in today's debates about citizenship, voting rights, and social equality. From the halls of Congress to the bloody battlefields, the Civil War is a powerful story of division and unity, destruction and rebirth. It teaches us that the fight for justice is often long and costly, but absolutely necessary for a society to move forward. The American Civil War stands as a testament to the fact that even in our darkest hours, change is possible when people act with conviction and courage. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this journey through one of history's most pivotal moments insightful, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the events that shaped our world. See you next time.